Chairman.
Let's start the meeting.
Okay. Today we have our Measures P Oversight Committee. What we'll be doing today is going over our financial report for 17-18. Chairman, what you will do is go through your agenda itself and kind of go down the columns, and we'll go start from there. So kind of just read from the top and go down.
Okay, committee members, Forbes, Colleen Nelson, and myself, Rod Nelson. At this time, any member of the public may address the committee regarding any item over which it has jurisdiction. No action or discussion will be taken or any item not on the agenda. Issues raised will be referred to the city manager for review. Members of the public shall limit their remarks to 3 minutes. Regular business, approval of minutes dated May 1st, 2018.
So committee, within your packet, you'll see the minutes that have been provided to you from the prior meeting. Did all you get a chance to review them?
I think I skimmed over these in advance and everything looked okay. Didn't see anything out of order.
Okay, we can go ahead and approve the minutes and take a roll call.
I motion to approve the minutes.
A second.
I agree.
It's approved.
Motion granted. Thank you. Our next item, number 2.
Review of bond proceeds expenditures.
Thank you. Committee members, what you have in front of you is a similar packet to what you saw in our last meeting. This is for the fiscal year of 17-18. The items that you will see in this report are going to be very similar to what you've seen in the past report due to us having a meeting just in January and not had much has transpired since that time frame. So again, we're trying to go through the process, get formulated with the adjustments of 2 meetings and kind of keeping it within that rotation. Obviously, as construction and this funds gets expended, we'll have a lot more to have a conversation regarding the report in itself, and it'll get a lot more bulked up. But for now, we'll go through the reports, and if we have any questions, we'll go through it. Okay. So basically, look at the report itself. You'll go through an overview of committee oversight objectives, financial reports that consist of the income statement, balance sheet, and also supporting documentations regarding to the bonds themselves and some of the funds that are expended at that point in time. Okay. So if we look at our first report, you'll see some item that I highlighted. Again, this was in your previous report. It's basically the oversight of your objectives within this committee. So the Citizens Oversight Committee, composed of 3 voters of the City of Selma, shall perform and will be charged with an annual review of all bond proceeds, expenditures, and annual reports to the City Council regarding findings of those expenditures. So just to summarize, what you're basically looking for within this committee is to review the expenditures and to make sure that they fall in line with what was actually how the measure was approved. Okay? Your next page you'll flip to will be an income statement, a standard income statement for the fiscal year 17-18 again, in which the funds you can see are deposited under bond proceeds for $4 million. You'll also see some interest transactions that inspired, which gets allocated on a quarterly basis from our LAIF account. And you do see some expenditures for professional services. We'll get into that amount a little more in detail later into the report. Okay. So you can see for an overall financial standpoint, we have a gain of $3.8 million. Okay. Our next report is the balance sheet. Basically, a balance sheet would show you as cash on hand transactions that have transpired through the year. So what you see it towards the bottom is a fund balance, which means a balance of transactions that happened in the prior years, and then you'll see a change in fund balance. So again, pointing out the $3.8 million that has come in for that fiscal year, they will now come into your reserve for the balance of the account itself. Okay.
What about the interest?
Interest itself goes into the accounting. It's the cash accounts on the top of the balance sheet.
See it here.
So see the 4,000,000.125869. See that on the top of your balance sheet, third item down. It'll be
You're on
consolidated.
this one.
I'm on the balance sheet.
Okay.
Interest will be the next one we're going into.
Okay. Yes, I see. Okay. I got it. Thank you.
Okay. So moving on to page 4, we're going to a little more detail on what actually transpired within the fiscal year. So just going down the line, you'll see the interest that are coming in from our LAIF account. So you have 3 transactions, one for 9,000, 12,000, and 14,000. And then again, you'll see the proceeds coming in from the bond of $4 million. The next item that you'll see after that is the expenditures. There are 4 transactions that have transpired within this transaction of the bond, place of the bond and things of that nature. One is Hilltop Security, which is the underwriter. You have 2 for NHA Advisors, which is our professional services that we use to place these bonds. And also Weiss Law Firm, which is the lawyer that helps us again create the documents needed to complete the process of the bond. Is there any questions regarding these transactions? Okay. Again, these are a lot of the transactions just transpired due to the bond itself, the bond placement. As construction goes on and these funds start to be expended for the project itself, you'll see these items start to bulk up a lot more. And we'll try and give you as much detail within those transactions so you can see individually what are transpiring as the process continues. Okay. Next page is a copy of the information that you'll receive out of our actual bank statement, our bank account. And what you'll be noting there is the 4.1 million that you see coming in as a transfer into our banking account for US Bank, or I'm sorry, Union Bank. So what you want to do is take that number and actually go into the next page, page 6, and you'll see the funds that are actually been utilized from the bond closing memo to actually analyze how much we actually should have got versus what actually transpired and came to the bank. And you'll see that those 2 items tie. Any questions?
Nope.
That concludes the report I have for you today. That moves on to item number 3, committee comments and other business. Again, I'll stipulate one more time that this is the beginning of these bond proceeds. Us receiving them, we really haven't expended them as of thus far. Once construction starts, you will see those transactions try to trickle in.
So the tree came down,
Tree came down.
and so the building will, where are we in starting this project?
We are currently in the bid process right now. Bid will start to close, I want to say, on the 28th of this month. We will be having a groundbreaking, which you will all be invited to, so I hope you attend on September 20th.
You don't know a time for that?
I don't have a time at this time. But, is this 2 o'clock?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Chief. And that concludes my report to you. Is there any questions?
I don't have any questions. You?
Okay.
When will the bid be accepted?
The 28th is when we close it, and then we approve it shortly after that.
Okay. And who does that? Who's on that committee to approve?
The committee,
The group,
it's really a
from
low,
the city?
it's really a low bid process, so the lowest number that comes in cumulative through the process itself gets awarded to that
So you
individual.
have to take the lowest bid?
Correct. But it's a cumulative, so there's some underlining projects that go with it. And we take all those projects across the board and make sure that what is the lowest number that allows us to pick that individual. And so currently right now we have about 5 individuals that are currently bidding.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. We move on to the last item, just adjournment. There's no further. We had at the beginning. It's not on the agenda, but we can definitely take comments from the public if we need to. Is there any? Mhm. We're finishing off the plans right now. There will be some addendums to the bid packet itself, but we do have a square footage per se, and maybe Chief can give us more information on that.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, the plans are finalized. We're adding addendums that will be finalized by the end of this week, actually August 22nd. All those have to be in. The bid packages will be complete. The bid opening will take place on August 28th. Once that's done, the city council will be presented with the results, and they'll either accept the bid or not. That's a council action that'll occur. The plan is to have that occur in the first council meeting in September. So there was a question asked earlier about whether we're required to take the low bid. We are not if the low bid has specific areas in it that wouldn't make it an attractive decision for the city to enter into. But absent that, then we'd have to take the low bid.
That's
So,
good to know, thank you.
yeah. And in terms of the bidders, we had 10 pre-qualified bidders. We had a bid conference, which was a requirement for all bidders to attend in order to be qualified to move forward for the actual bidding. 5 of the 10 attended, and those five will be submitting bids, and those bids will be opened on the 28th of this month. So, and I think the question was asked earlier. The plans are complete. We're just adding some addendums that may or may not occur depending on the price.
What addendums? What kinds of things?
The base bid will include the police station itself, the parking lot, and the surrounding areas. There'll be an addendum for a community room to add on, depending on what the level of bids come out at. As we're going to do an addendum, I think, for landscape as well. It all depends on what the initial bids come out as, what we can afford. So,
Out of curiosity, does the architect's firm have an estimate on what they think the ballpark bid price will be?
yes, the whole process has been based on that ballpark figure. The construction costs that include everything, including the addendum, is $6.5 million, and there's $1.5 million in soft costs that will be used for computers, equipment, furniture, and all the things that'll go into the building. So, yes. Yeah, it's a single-story building. It was never a 3-story building. It was, at one point it was a 2-story design, and we were gonna add the city manager's office.
I've never seen plans for a 3.
But anyway, it's not any longer. It's a single-story building, just over 10,000 square feet. So,
The idea was 3 stories, it was 2 stories in Dallas, and that's where it started. Moved on.
Is it going to have a jail?
it'll have a detention facility. It's not classified as a jail. We don't hold prisoners beyond 6 hours. If you do hold a prisoner beyond 6 hours, there's a whole bunch of other
Yeah.
requirements.
So you'll
Food,
still be sending them to the sheriff's?
county jail, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's only one authorized jail facility in the county, and that's the county jail.
Okay.
I can answer any other questions the committee may have.
Any questions, do you?
Do we have a list of the 5 general contractors that are?
Yes, I was just reminded, all this information is on our website, the City of Selma's website. It's been a while since I did that, so.
Well, hopefully it goes through and gets approved by the city council with the pending tariffs and the changes in raw materials.
Yeah,
Because that's gonna impact if it gets put off.
That's a very good point, and the architects and our folks actually factored that in. So, when we first started this design, obviously things were different now that there is quite a few tariffs, but we designed that into the cost, so, it should still stay within that 6.5 million unless something really crazy happens in the next month or so.
And like any other project that the city has, as far as public works or whatever it may be, a street, you have some kind of contingency that's wrapped into that project as well to take on those additional costs.
So the 4 million comes from the bond, and then does the city put up the other 1 point?
It was appropriation from the state was 4 million,
Oh, okay,
so that's the remaining 4 million.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
Alright, well,
Comment is, city council, speak for both members of city council, can't wait to see the plans, can't wait to see
record, can you come to the podium just so we can have it on? Cause when you're on the recording, you're on the audience, you're not able to hear.
Scott Robertson, 1057, speaking as a citizen. I can't wait as a citizen and in any other capacity to see those plans for the new police station. Really looking forward to that. And secondly, question is, on those professional services, I didn't see any detail. Will there be some billing on those itemized services in the future? for
You'll see a little
billing?
more description as we get into the items themselves.
Like an
Um,
invoices themselves?
Not the
from
full detail, there's gonna be a lot of
services?
invoice, you'll have a large report, what it was, basically it has a little bit to what you see now, a line item detail of what that actually consists of.
How much detail are you planning on providing in terms of the invoices?
We'll get into that part when I start seeing a lot more detail on how much room I have to play with within this report.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
I'll try and give as much information as I can.
Start button. Start button on this.
That does bring up a good point that, in the future, as these things start to bill out, if we had questions and wanted to see more detail on expenditures, I think that's kind of reiterating what Scott just said. is,
Definitely, I mean, if you wanna get into a little more detail, again, we'll present the report, I'll give you as much information as I can. Keeping in mind, this report will get bigger and you'll have a lot more information as far as invoices. So if you really wanna dive into it a lot more, what we can do is actually make a request, I'd like to see item number 2, 3, and 5, or whatever that number may be, or vendor may see, so you wanna get into a little more information, I can provide it to you at a later date.
Okay. I know we're still early on, but, definitely there'll be, I'm sure questions or just,
Correct.
Give us
Again, as
points.
this report gets bigger, you're gonna have a lot more questions and we can get a lot more into it.
Okay.
So. Right. Seeing no more further questions, we can move for adjournment.
Any other questions?
Oh, sorry.
I
I make,
motion-
go ahead.
I motion to accept the report.
I second it.
Alright, thank you, committee.
I said yes.
The motion carries. Okay. Guess that's it. Move to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Okay, I second it.